This is the iPhone 13 Pro Max, and you're probably wondering how I got here. Let's rewind back to the beginning. There's a lot of updates here to talk about, a lot of which you just saw in that intro, and some of which you didn't. My reluctance to review a mid-model year iPhone is what led to this taking so long to make, but there is a lot of features here to talk about. So starting here with what's in the box. In typical Apple fashion, we've got a black box for the Pro models only. Opening the box, we can see the new Sierra Blue, which is the baby blue that we've never seen from Apple before. Below that, we can see a USB-C to Lightning cable for charging. That's right, we still have that Lightning cable sticking around another year. Then below that, we have the Quick Start Guide, warranty, SIM tool, and the stickers. A fairly standard unboxing from Apple, and again, no charger in sight this time. Now right away, let's address the design. It's pretty much the same as last year. Now we heard rumors about better stainless steel with anti-fingerprint coating and maybe making it out of different materials that were more durable, but all around this is still the same notch-faced brick that you've come to love over the last year. Now speaking of the notch, it got smaller, and while I've got to applaud Apple for moving more toward that notchless design, this move doesn't seem that revolutionary. Sure, as soon as you open the phone and you turn it on, you will notice that difference, especially if you're coming from a previous larger notch phone. But you'll quickly adjust and pretty much forget that it ever existed to begin with. My original excitement about a smaller notch was because of the potential to, say, add another icon into the status bar or show more valuable information like the battery percentage all the time. And they didn't do any of that. So what you're seeing is a smaller notch with no reason or nothing to really fill the gap that they've created. Now don't get me wrong, it is something you're going to notice as soon as you look at this phone, but you will get used to it and you'll forget that they actually shortened it until you do a review like I am right now. Now the sides are exactly the same layout as before, with Apple persistent about including that Lightning port again for another year instead of USB-C. And the only real notable difference is that tweaked blue color over last year's Pro Max coming in the darker blue. Now it's coming in a lighter, almost baby blue color, which looks nearly white depending on the lighting that you're in. Let me know in the comments which blue color you prefer, from the iPhone 12 Pro Max to the iPhone 13 Pro Max. Leave your vote in the comments right now. So typically with an S year or a mid-model year, Apple doesn't really have any revolutionary features, and the ones that they do have are like modest speed improvements or slightly better cameras with better aperture, but things that the general consumer doesn't pick up and automatically notice right away. But this year I'm proud to say that Apple actually did incorporate a lot of features that your average consumer will notice right away. Those updates are a vibrant new 120Hz display, a new macro camera, cinematic mode, and a bigger, better battery. And by the way, I'm going to go through all of these features in great detail, but if you want to jump around to a specific one, feel free to use the chapters below now. So starting with the 120Hz display. If you're unfamiliar, it's referring to how fast the pixels on the screen can refresh. The faster they can change, the smoother the motion and the animation that's showing on your screen. Now there's some crazy tech that goes into this, and Apple enables it to change the refresh rate based on how fast you're scrolling or swiping through things. So if you're swiping fast, it goes right up to 120Hz, and if you go slower, it goes down to 60. But all you really need to know is that it's the same technology taken from the previous iPad Pro, and it looks really smooth and really crisp. Even if people don't really understand what 120Hz is, from the moment they pick up this phone and swipe through the home screen, they'll notice that something is different, and that it's smoother and crisper and just overall a sharper display. And it's definitely a large advantage over last year's iPhone 12 Pro Max model. One thing you need to note is that developers actually had to change the code on their apps in order to be compatible with 120Hz, and without doing so, it would default to 60Hz. So if you're using this phone right away, you'll notice how fast it is when you're swiping through the home screen or through Apple apps, but you may not notice it immediately on third-party apps. But I'm sure that those things will be adjusted over time, and within the next few months, all of our apps will be refreshing at that beautiful 120Hz. Apple stepped up the camera game this year, and rather than it just being modest improvements like a slightly better aperture or slightly better dark mode photos, this is actually a brand new macro camera. And it basically allows you to focus in extremely close on objects, showing really fine details like the threading of your jeans or close-ups of plants. You can see the moment that the macro lens takes over as you get closer to an object, And it all happens automatically, so you don't have to worry about changing a setting the moment you want to take a macro shot. Just get close enough and it'll take over. This has actually been such a huge update, and even after using this phone for weeks, I still think it's amazing. Like, how can they possibly take shots like this? I'm really amazed at how well it does macro photography, especially when compared to the iPhone 12, where we see the same photo taken. Now, I know that's a very unfair comparison because the iPhone 12 doesn't have a macro lens, so obviously they're not going to be able to get as close, showing as crisp detail. Now, sticking with these improved camera features, we've got cinematic mode, which is basically portrait mode for an iPhone video. So your phone begins by tracking the face of the subjects in the video. We've got one in the foreground and one in the background. It's automatically going to blur the person in the background until the person in the foreground looks back at them. The iPhone then knows that it's time to switch focus to the other subject until the foreground subject is identified again when it switches back. Now, this is a really cool feature, and it's really taking these videos that an iPhone can make to the next level. The coolest part, in my opinion, is that you can even edit the focus after you've taken the video by opening it in the Photos app and going to edit and then just selecting where you want the focus to be in that timeline. So you're now getting incredible control over the focus of your iPhone camera, which honestly makes me kind of mad considering how much we as creators spend on our tech to achieve the same kind of look when you get it now baked right into your iPhone. Now, does cinematic mode work with pets? Yes, and here you can see my dog Lucy having her 5 minutes of fame. It is going to be able to track your pets as well as things like objects if you want to focus on an object in the foreground, and all of it works very, very well. Now, is the battery better? Yes, I think so. So my iPhone 12 Pro Max, which I've been using for just over a year now, has been having some issues. It lasts under 1 day, but it shows a battery performance rating of 94%. Apple says it's fine, so we'll go with that. So on a good day, about 14 hours is what the 12 Pro Max is lasting me at this point. iPhone 13 Pro Max, however, blows it out of the water. In fact, it's the best performance on a phone that I've used so far. It seems to get an entire 2 days of use without me needing to charge this thing, lasting right to the end of that second day. Now, do I charge it every night? Yes. Do I need to? No. Is it because I have a Belkin 3-in-1 charger and it makes it super convenient to place it on? Yes. Honestly, it's just out of habit that I place my phone on there and allow it to charge overnight, but with this phone you really don't need to. Now, speaking of charging, MagSafe. It still exists, it still works great. There were some rumors about MagSafe potentially being stronger magnets built into the iPhone 13 so that it would be able to hold on tighter, especially in the case of the Pro Max where it was having some issues. But in my testing, it's pretty much about the same as it was last year. So everything you already know about MagSafe still remains true for the iPhone 13 and 13 Pro lineup. Now, the one thing you do need to watch for, and this needs to be kind of a PSA for everyone thinking about buying one, is that the larger camera bump on the iPhone 13 lineup from the mini right up to the Pro leads to some incompatibility with third-party MagSafe options. In my experience, the Pro Max is the only one that's actually not affected by any of the products that I've used, but the iPhone 13 and the mini are not going to be able to work with some of those that stick up past the camera bump. This is all to say that you need to check before you buy a product to make sure it really is compatible with your iPhone 13, whichever model that you have. Now, for the iPhone 13 Pro Max, however, here's everything that I'm using on a regular basis. We've got the Belkin 3-in-1 charger that I already talked about, standby MagSafe for my desk, ESR car stand, which is my primary car stand, Drive Pro by MagSafe, which is what I'm using in my second vehicle. Now, for cases, check out my next video, which is going to be a review on ESR's entire lineup of cases and MagSafe products to see which one is right for you. Now, is today finally the day that we do a drop test of the iPhone 13 Pro Max? No, buy your own most expensive iPhone and drop it 15 stories. So overall, this iPhone has some really impressive features for a mid-model update. And originally I thought that they were going to use this year to raise the price of the iPhone lineup by at least $100, so I was telling people that it wouldn't really be worth the upgrade. But because they chose to keep the price exactly the same as last year's iPhone 12 lineup, it makes this an incredible value. And if choosing between the two, if you're due for an upgrade right now, I would definitely go with the 13 to future-proof yourself and to take advantage of some of these exciting new features. Now, is it possible that the iPhone 14 is going to come out next year and it'll have a radical redesign and way bigger headliner features? Yes, of course. But if you're in need of an update right now, if your contract is up, if you are having some serious issues with an older iPhone that you had, then the iPhone 13 is actually a really solid upgrade for you to have. It is the best on the market right now, and the features on it are definitely going to be future-proofed for years to come. So let me know down in the comments which of these features we talked about is one that you're most excited about. Leave your vote down below now. While you're down there, remember to hit the like button because it tells YouTube that videos like this don't suck, and hit the subscribe button to see more videos like this from me. Thank you guys so much for watching and supporting the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.